Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for WWE Aftershock in 3, 2, 1. World Wrestling Entertainment Discussion is live. Cue host Owen Finch.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to WWE Aftershock Week 46. And I'm Owen the Birdman Finch, and I'm here to give you all the breakdown for everything that happened in WWE for this week. The original plan is I wanted to do a crossover. I wanted to, do AEW Spark and WWE crossover like I did before, since SmackDown and Collision and everything was going to air the same day. But my schedule was too hectic for that, and it just wasn't going to work out. So I pretty much called it off. So you're just going to get the typical WWE Aftershock. Because of Thanksgiving these next couple of weeks, it's probably just going to be me doing WWE Aftershock solo. Hopefully that can turn around fairly soon. I do plan on trying to do a extra review in Survivor Series, which I don't even know how that's going to happen, just because everything's just so crazy right now, because Thanksgiving is 2 days before Survivor Series. So, it's going to be crazy. I'm going to have a hectic week, so I got to make sure I watch all the shows so I can do week 47. So, going to be a hectic week. Let's just start by covering everything from this week. We're going to start with main events, since that, airs before Raw, so we follow house show rules. I just watched that not that long ago. Main event was taped on Monday, but it aired. Where is my notes? Okay. It aired. It wasn't November 8th, 2023. It was a completely different date than that. So let me just look it up on my calendar. It aired on November 15th, 2023. We had Blake Howard and Byron Saxon on commentary, the Level Up commentary team. I don't know if this is just going to be a 1 week thing, or if this is going to be the new commentary team for main events. But, if he's there next week, then we'll know for sure. Couple matches took place on Level Up main event. The first one was Tatum Paxley versus Katana Chance with Caden Carter inside. This match was pretty solid. No real complaints about it. Caden Carter won with a tilt-a-whirl into a flatliner. That was pretty cool. So that was decent. And then we had, in the main event itself, it was Apollo Crews versus Tavion Heights. I like this. I thought this match would have been a little better, since, they both have, amateur background and everything like that, but it was just kind of good. Wasn't anything too special. And Apollo Crews won that match with a frog splash, so relatively okay episode of Level Up. I'll give it a C. You got 2 decent matches, and I guess that's all you can really ask for. Then, it's really all you can ask for. So then we had Raw, which aired. I have to see when that aired, actually. Here it is. Which aired on November 13th, 2023. The commentary team for that was Wade Barrett and Michael Cole. And, hold on, I'm just gonna switch over to my webcam. I thought I did that. Okay. So the commentary team for that was Wade Barrett and Michael Cole. And obviously the big storyline throughout Raw was, the big men's Wargames match with Judgment Day facing Team Cody. Raw opened up where Cody Rhodes came out and he brought out his team for Wargames. And, he talked about, how they all have an issue with Judgment Day. He mentioned, everybody on the team, and he talked about how they were, one of them is his friend, one of them is now his new partner. And when he got to Seth Rollins, you could sense that there was some tension there. Judgment Day came out, and basically they try to turn Team Rhodes against each other because they're doing a lot of things where they're mentioning stuff that happened in the past between all these guys, which is great, and stuff, that would actually be bugging these people. And then eventually, Cody threatens to get into it with them, and eventually a tag match gets made. Well, actually, that's not what happens. I'm missing a big thing. Because Rhea wasn't out there, Cody was trying to figure out who the leader was, and Damian Priest gets pissed, and because he's a hothead, he inadvertently says that he's the leader, which, kind of causes a little bit of dissension within Judgment Day there. And then a tag match gets proposed where Seth and Sami challenge JD McDonough and Dominic Mysterio to a tag match, which Adam Pearce makes official. And yeah, that match happens. And yeah, overall that match was relatively good. No real issues with it, except the finish. They did a DQ, which I didn't really understand why they did it, but I guess they wanted to protect Dom and JD from losing, but I really don't think it would have hurt them that much. Judgment Day beat him down, and Cody and Finn run out, and there's a bunch of chaos again. So Adam Pearce has everyone that's going to be in the men's Wargames match thrown out of the building pretty much during the tag title match. He doesn't want he doesn't want to get it interrupted at all. So Rhea takes offense to this, and her and Adam Pearce are going back and forth, which brings out Zoe Stark, who's her opponent at Survivor Series, and they get into it a little bit. It was a pretty good back and forth promo battle where Zoe Stark ended up standing tall. I liked this. It was good stuff. And yeah, throughout the night, you kind of see different perspectives with both members of the team, or both teams anyways. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins pretty much squash their beef and say that they're willing to work together for one night to take down Judgment Day. And I'm pretty sure there was a backstage segment with Sami. Well, there was another one with Seth, by the way, which ties in later, where Drew McIntyre finally gives him his handshake from Crown Jewel and says that, he's going to come out a better person for it. So that was good. And then, obviously, Judgment Day are backstage, and they basically make Damian Priest the temporary leader going into the Wargames match. And they offer JD McDonough a spot in the Judgment Day because he took a bullet for Damian Priest because when Jey Uso went for the spear, he basically pushed Damian out of the way and took a bullet for him. So now he's officially in. Damian Priest goes and gives him his cut, and that was it. I liked everything, how it all built to the main event and everything like that. And in the main events, after a hellacious undisputed WWE Tag Team title match, Jey Uso, who's on the outside behind the ref's back, Drew McIntyre comes up out of nowhere. He lays out Jey Uso with a Claymore kick, which causes Finn Balor and Damian Priest to retain the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships. And at the end of the show, Drew McIntyre shakes the hand of Rhea Ripley, showing that she set this whole thing up. And obviously this was a loophole because Drew's not in the War Games match. And yeah, essentially it looks like he's turned heel. Jordan Judgment Day, I don't quite know if that's happened. It could have just been a thing where they just made a deal, but maybe it's going to lead to that. But yeah, it makes all the sense in the world for Drew to finally turn heel. And I thought they've executed Drew's heel turn massively, pretty much, where, now that he's lost the world title match with Seth Rollins, he realizes that maybe he does have to go to the dark side. And it would be kind of cool if he did join Judgment Day, considering the fact that it would go against everything that he's stood for, where he doesn't want to be around factions, but maybe he's starting to realize like it needs to have some backup. So that would be interesting. I wonder if this is going to lead to him joining the men's War Games match. It becomes a 5-on-5, and then, Team Cody has to get a new member, whether that's a returning Randy Orton or a returning CM Punk. One of the two. So, yeah. Obviously, the one that I would like is obviously CM Punk because it's in Chicago and it would be very fitted. But yeah, that was everything with the Judgment Day stuff. I thought it was 2 thumbs up. It was really great stuff. Everything else on this show was pretty much good stuff, but didn't really build to it as much. They did do some nice video packages for Wargames, kind of reminding us of the rules. Shinsuke Nakamura faced Otis, and yeah, it was good stuff. Otis looked pretty strong there. It took 3 Kinshasas to finally take him down. And Nakamura did do a promo before this where he's like referencing that he's targeted somebody. So I don't know what that's leading to. If it's going to lead to somebody coming in. Really, obviously, TBD. A match did come out of this. It's going to be Gable versus Nakamura, because afterwards Nakamura face palmed him, and him and Gable got into it. So that'd be good stuff. And then there was a funny backstage bit later on in the night where Alpha Academy, the Creed brothers, the New Day, and everybody all were arguing about wanting to be the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions. And Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile leave together to talk about fashion stuff. So that was pretty funny. And then other stuff that happened. Piper Niven lost to Tegan Nox. This match wasn't particularly all that good. I really didn't care for it. It was just not good. They had a match later in the night with Xia Li and Indy Hartwell that also wasn't good. And Xia Li won because Indy Hartwell couldn't continue after a kick. And then Becky came out and attacked her and announced that they're going to face off next week on Raw. So that was that. And then Tommaso Ciampa faced Marcel Bartel. This was good. I liked this. Fabian Eichner got ejected from ringside, which looked like was going to be obviously him messing up and it was going to lead to Ciampa winning, but that wasn't the case. Behind the ref's back, he comes back and he throws Gargano into the post and big boots him, which allows Eichner to beat him with a roll-up. And then later in the night, Walter, pretty much compliments his strategy and everything like that, and chastises Marcel Bartel. So, not sure what this is leading to, but this was good stuff. Then they did a backstage bit with Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, where it looked like Shayna Baszler was upset with Zoe Stark that she eliminated her from the Battle Royal, so hopefully nothing really more comes of that, where they break up as a team, because they really can't afford to break up any tag teams in the women's division right now. And Raquel Rodriguez congratulates her, and then Nia Jax comes up and talks about how everyone gained up on her and how no one could stand up to her, and Raquel stands up to her, so that match was made official for next week. That match probably will be good, but I'm really not looking forward to it because I'm not a Nia Jax fan. So yeah, there's that. And then the last thing really on Raw is The Miz got interviewed, and he talked about how he looks forward to taking the Intercontinental Championship from Walter. But then Ivar comes up and mentions that you still got to get through him, which leaves a Bronson Reed coming up and mentions that The Miz got lucky when he won the 4-way match, and it kind of leads to him and Ivar going at it, which The Miz walks away from. And The Miz then does face Ivar, and he beats Ivar by using by rolling him up and using the ropes for leverage, and Bronson Reed did distract Ivar during the match. So, that was good. Kind of protected Ivo and defeat a little bit. And I'm enjoying Miz as a babyface right now. I think what's enjoyable about it is he's kept a lot of his demeanors as a heel, except that now he's just doing it as a babyface, which I think is cool. Before when they've turned him, they've done a complete 180 on him, but I like the fact that they're essentially taking the MJF approach, where he just goes up against other heels now and stuff, which is good. And then afterwards, Bronson Reed laid him out, hit him with the tsunami. So I imagine post-Survivor Series, we're going to get a match between Bronson Reed and Ivar, which I think will be awesome. I don't think it's going to be like anyone's changing roles or anything like that. I think they'll both still be heels. It's just that they're gonna have a match, so that's good. And that was Raw. Really enjoyed Raw. I'm gonna give it like an A minus, maybe a B plus. I'll probably go with an A minus because I really liked the main event angle. I liked Nakamura versus Otis, and I liked Ciampa, Bartel, and the Miz as a babyface. The only thing I really didn't like on Raw was the woman matches on the show weren't particularly interesting. So that's pretty much that. Going through NXT, again, I'll follow house show rules and start with Level Up, which aired on November 17th, 2023. Vic Joseph and Blake Howard were on commentary. This was the second week this has happened. I don't know if that's just going to be the commentary team for Level Up, which honestly I think it's for the best. I don't really think there's a sense in putting in Byron if he's just going to do Level Up. It doesn't really make sense. If he was on commentary full-time on NXT, which honestly I think should be the case, then I would understand it, but I don't really think there's a need for it. And you had a couple matches. You had Danny Palmer versus Tatum Paxley. This was good. This obviously came from that tag match they had a couple months ago where Paxley turned on him, and they're just now having a match, which seems a bit, too long, but whatever. Paxley won. I was kind of surprised by this. I kind of figured they would give the win to Palmer, but they gave it to Paxley, which I don't love. I would have rather seen Palmer win, but whatever. Then Tavion Heights gets interviewed, and he talks about how he's going to defeat Riley Osborne tonight, and he faces Riley Osborne, and he doesn't win. Riley Osborne hits a shooting star press and beats him, but this match was actually really good. Really liked it. It was very back and forth, and it was fairly unpredictable. Either of these guys could have won, since they're kind of still on the rise and everything like that. Kind of figured it would be Riley Osborne though, just because he's been looking pretty impressive lately in his matches, and it seems like they've really been behind him. So there's that. But overall, good episode of Level Up. I'll give it a B minus, mainly for the match between Tavion Heights and Riley Osborne. So there's that. Then NXT itself, which aired on November 14th, 2023. We had Booker T and Vic Joseph on commentary for this. And yeah, the biggest thing that came out of NXT was obviously this scandal that's going on with Chase U. They got interviewed about it, but they didn't want to be interviewed. They just wanted to focus on their tag title match. And yeah, they were just kind of trying not to hide themselves, to not have to be interviewed by media. They retained their title. Sorry, they defended their titles against the family. And during the match, you could just tell the fans were booing Chase U. And I don't think it was the actual fans. I think it was mainly the student section, because the actual fans were chanting for Chase U. But during the match, slowly, most of the students leave the Chase U section, and this distracts Chase U long enough for the family to win. They become the new champions. And later in the night, Andre Chase is about to get interviewed, and before he can really answer the questions, JC Jane pulls up in a car and they leave. So yeah, they're going with the scandal. I don't like it, obviously. I think now Chase U is definitely breaking up. I keep saying that they're going to break up, but I think now that they've gotten the titles and I don't really know where else they go, I think now we're going to see the full crumble of Chase U. Obviously, this has been built really since Vengeance Day when they got over. As you know, it's been a big thing that's been mentioned on this show. No matter who's on the show, that the big thing that they wanted to do was break up Chase U, and it looks like they're gonna finally do it, which sucks. Obviously, I would have liked to see Chase U stay together, but that's just not gonna happen. I think they're gonna struggle apart. I think Duke Hudson will do fine now. Now that he has a character. Thea Hale, I think, would do okay if she stays Thea Hale. And Andre Chase, I think, will struggle on his own. So, yeah, I don't know why they're doing this, but they did show all the tag teams afterwards, talking about how they want to be champions, and the biggest thing out of this is Josh Briggs wasn't paying attention. He was on his phone most of the time, and we saw Boa and not Javier Bernal. Was it Javier Bernal? It was Javier Bernal, yeah. No, it wasn't. It was Dante Chen. That's who I was thinking of. They were like in the room later on where the faces were painted and stuff like that. And during this, Malik Blade and Adrian Sinove get into it with Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo, and that's going to be a match for next week now. So, yeah, that was good stuff. But yeah, I didn't really like anything that happened with the tag title program. And then Lita made her picks about what she was going to have the Iron Survivor qualifiers be. It's going to be Roxanne Perez versus Last Legend, and Trick Williams versus Joe Coffey. So yeah, but one of those matches made sense. None of the women's matches have really made sense so far. Like, you could definitely tell Lita really, I don't think, would have picked this match. I think she would have picked a different match. But yeah, the women's match wasn't good. And they had a terrible results. Roxanne Perez lost due to Kiana James interference. I don't understand why they did that. Last Legend is terrible, and there's no reason she should be in the Iron Survivor Challenge. And there's no real reason to even continue the feud going on between Roxanne Perez and Kiana James. Like, I thought Halloween Havoc would have ended things, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I really hope that they still put Roxanne in the match. They do some type of last chance triple threat match or something, and she still gets in like they've done before, because it just doesn't make sense to put Last Legend in and not Roxanne Perez. It's really odd. But whatever. And then Trick Williams faced Joe Coffey, and Carmelo Hayes and him did an interview where Carmelo Hayes says that he's going to be in his corner, and yeah, they face off, and they did do a nice little tease where it looked like Carmelo Hayes was going to cost Trick Williams the match, but that doesn't happen. Trick Williams does advance. He gets into the Iron Survivor Challenge. And, yeah, I thought they played into this pretty well. And then afterward, they did like a bit where Carmelo Hayes looked back, and there's like this picture that comes up when you advance and stuff. And he didn't look very happy about it. So, yeah, I would like to see something happen now where, like, Carmelo Hayes has a qualifying match and he loses. And this kind of leads to, you know, him being jealous and things like that. And it looks like Braun Breaker will have one, because they did the backstage segment with Dijak, where they teased that they were going to go at it, and Dijak basically mentioned that he should be in the Iron Survivor Challenge and things like that. So it looks like Braun Breaker will be in it. So the men's Iron Survivor Challenge is stacking up quite nicely. Not so much for the women's right now. I'm not into that one. Then yeah, Supernova Sessions also happened on this show. Yeah, it was relatively entertaining. The back and forth they were doing, but it also wasn't entertaining. But I thought, you know, Alpha Academy was so entertaining they were able to make something out of this. So I'll definitely check this segment out. The biggest thing, obviously, that came out of it is we find out that Chad Gable was going to challenge Noam Yo in the next episode of NXT for the Heritage Cup. Which obviously he doesn't want. It's really weird because they were thinking it was going to be Otis, and they were actually happy about this, but then they were mad it was Chad Gable. Which I guess is good for Chad Gable, you know, that he's seen as more of a threat, but I feel like either war would have been a threat, so that's interesting. I'd like, obviously, Gable to win the cup, but I don't think that's going to happen. I would like him, maybe he, you know, in the match with Nakamura, he suffers not a complete injury, but he gets messed up enough where it cost him this match. Because I feel like that's going to kind of hurt Gable a little bit to lose that match. So, we'll see. They did a backstage bit where Kiana James was bragging about the fact that she took out Roxanne Perez from the Iron Survivor Challenge. And then it led to Gigi Dolan and Ariana Grace going at it, which turned into a match that Gigi Dolan won. It really wasn't anything special. The match itself wasn't bad, I guess. It was just, really didn't care about it. Out the Mud and the Brawling Brutes actually had a really good match on this show. It was very physical. The Brawling Brutes ended up winning, which made sense considering the fact that Out the Mud really are a new team. There's no reason for them to beat the Brawling Brutes right now, so I'm okay with that. What else? I think that's pretty much. Joe Gacy did a promo like on the roof where he's just losing his mind pretty much. I'm really enjoying Joe Gacy just going crazy right now, and I hope it leads to something, so that's good. Yeah, Von Wagner and Mr. Stone, it kind of showed their story, how they're becoming friends now and stuff. It does seem like the Braun Breaker feud's over, which kind of sucks, because I feel like he should have won that feud. And yeah, he's still over enough. I don't think it's going to hurt him too much, I guess, to lose that, but I think it hurt him a little bit not losing that. I don't think he's buried, but I don't think it, I definitely think it hurt him more than helping him, so whatever. Eddie Thorpe's back. He's just back. It's really weird. He got ripped by Dijak, and he doesn't even want to seem to do anything about it, but he wants to be in the Iron Survivor Challenge, and Charlie Dempsey comes up, and it basically turns into a match between those two that's going to be taking place on the next episode. So that'll be entertaining. And then I think everything else is just. Well, then they did the tea ceremony segment with Lara Valkyria. It showed Lara Valkyria watching footage of Xia Li, and she got a text on her phone that was hooked up to the TV. So they had that ceremony. It was interesting, I guess. It was something different. I can definitely give NXT credit for that, but I don't know if I particularly enjoyed it. I feel like it should have led to Xia Li laying her out somehow, some way, but that's not what happened. It was just kind of a tea ceremony, and yeah, it was just to kind of build up their title match for next week. It was kind of. It also lasted a very long time too, so it was kind of boring, more than anything else. So. But I can definitely appreciate that they tried to do something different. They're going to have a title match on the next episode. So yeah, they're really stacking the next episode of NXT, which is good. So yeah, that's that. That's just really questionable though, because obviously it kind of makes the match on Raw. It's good that it gets to make it unpredictable, but now they're kind of booked into a corner because they can't have Becky Lynch lose to Xia Li, really. And they can't have Xia Li lose now either because she'll lose momentum to the title match. So I guess I'll give my predictions on that at the end. Then the main event was built around Wesley versus Baron Corbin. This was going to be Wesley's first match back in NXT. They did backstage segment when Corbin had one with Dominic Mysterio where they basically kind of formed an alliance. And then Ilya Dragunov and Wesley did the same thing, which led to this match. It was really good. I thought the styles matched really well with each other. Eventually, Wesley hits a dive on Dom, which causes him to go to just beat on him. And then when he goes into the ring, he immediately gets hit with the end of days and loses. And then afterwards, Dragunov attacks him. He goes for the Torpedo Moscow, and Corbin immediately turned it into the end of days. Which I really like that they did that, because now that shows that, Corbin could hit this from anywhere, no matter what. So it kind of shows that, Dragunov is in danger consistently of losing the title. And afterwards, Dragunov challenges him to a title match at NXT Deadline. So that match was now official. And yeah, that was NXT pretty much. I thought NXT was good. I'm going to give it a B-. I thought the show kind of started on a pretty rough start. I really wasn't a fan of the Chase U stuff, and obviously Last Legend being in the Iron Survivor Challenge, and there was just definitely some questionable stuff that I usually question on NXT, but I thought, they were able to piece together a good show with Joe Coffey, Trick Williams match, and the stuff they did with Corbin and Wesley throughout the show. So overall, I thought they booked themselves out of it pretty well. So there you go. Since this is going to be the last I talk about NXT, really, I'll kind of give a little bit of predictions about what I think will happen in the next episode. So yeah, obviously JBL gets to pick who gets to be the next Iron Survivor qualifiers. I definitely think Braun Breaker is going to be somebody he picks, and obviously Carmelo Hayes, I could see him picking him, but I don't know if they're gonna have him face off again. I'm trying to think of who else is on NXT that I think JBL would pick. Especially too, I think it's really tough to decide. I'm trying to think of like who's. Yeah, I really can't think of anybody that would be like a good shout. So, yeah, maybe Carmelo Hayes. And then for the woman, I could see Kiana James being picked and G.D. Dolan. Because it does seem like that they would pick them. And I think Braun Breaker could win that. And we would get over that storyline more. Because they actually did a segment with Lexus Kidd on the show where it's teased that he attacked Trick Williams, so that was cool. But then other stuff that's going to happen in NXT is the women's title match. It's going to be Lyra Valkyria versus Xia Li. I definitely think Lyra's retaining. I don't really see a chance that Xia Li wins the belts, especially since Lyra just won it and they've been pushing her really hard, so I don't see her losing the title. But yeah, that's definitely going to be something that happens. We're going to have Eddie Thorpe versus Charlie Dempsey. I think Eddie Thorpe's definitely winning that. He just came back. It doesn't really make sense to have him lose. So, and then I think that's pretty much everything that's going to happen with NXT. I can't really think of anything else. So, yeah. Then we have the bump. The bump was decent. It was good stuff. It took place on November 15th, 2023. We had the hosts, Megan Morant, Matt Camp, and Ryan Popola. It kicked off with the intro. Really just an intro. They talked about the shows. Nick Aldis did an interview where he talked about being the GM of SmackDown and just kind of all the decisions that he's made since then, which was good stuff. And like what he wants to do as the GM of SmackDown. Relatively decent stuff. And then they showed some stuff you can buy on Black Friday on WWEshop.com, which I imagine they'll do that again on the bump next week, just to kind of hype that up. And then Sami Zayn did a promo, and well, he didn't do a promo, he had an interview where he just talked about his feud with the Judgment Day, challenging for the world title, how he feels about how Kevin Owens' run on SmackDown's going so far, and that's pretty much it. That's all he really talked about. That was good. I liked Sami Zayn's interview. And that was the bump. I thought it was good. I'll give it like a B-. It hasn't been as good as some of these other episodes of the bump have been lately, but this one was relatively good. Then we have SmackDown, which is the last show that really happened. I really enjoyed SmackDown. Yeah, it had the same day as Level Up. This week we had Road Dogg, Michael Cole, and Kevin Patrick on commentary. I thought Road Dogg was pretty entertaining on commentary. I wouldn't complain, honestly, if they did a different commentator until Corey Graves comes back. I imagine he'll be back post-Survivor Series, I think. Maybe even at Survivor Series itself. I thought Road Dogg was really entertaining on this show. The big story of the night was everything they did with Damage Control. Damage Control came out, and Bayley was being really confident, like it was her plan all along to bring Asuka into Damage Control, which obviously you could tell wasn't the case because she was pretty surprised when it happened. And then Asuka, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane all talk in Japanese. and Bailey acts like she understands them, but Dakota Kai translates, and basically they do a tease as if they're going to split up because they mentioned that not all of us here are damage control, but it's a swerve because Bailey had to induct her in officially. But that was a nice little, storyline beat. And then, they did that, and then they did, they challenged Bianca, Shotzi, and Charlotte to a Wargames match where Bailey didn't look like she was really happy about this challenge at first, but eventually she just went with it. And Shotzi tried to attack the heels, and Bianca and Charlotte went out to even the odds, but since they're still outnumbered, it doesn't really work. So throughout the night, they basically have to find a fourth member, and Nick Aldis tells them that it has to be by the end of the night. So basically they do a thing where basically anyone that they find, whether that's Mia Yim or Selena Vega, they just get laid out by damage control. So they try to get Charlotte Flair to call somebody, but she doesn't want to make the call. But eventually, when they don't have a choice, she does. But because they waited too long, they don't think she's going to get there in time. But then when we have the segment at the end of the night, Becky Lynch pops up out of nowhere, and there's a big brawl with the baby faces and the heels, and that basically ends SmackDown. Obviously this was reported that it was going to be Becky that was going to join. I like this Wargames match that shaped up. The thing I don't like about it is we literally did this a year ago, where Bianca went up against Damage Control. At least maybe not this version of it, but different people. And Becky came back the same way pretty much. So yeah, no love. We just basically rehashed the story here, but it still was relatively interesting. So it gets like a thumbs in the middle. But yeah, that was kind of it. They really are having Damage Control basically take over SmackDown, which makes sense because last week they did a huge bump in ratings and everything like that. And again, you don't have a lot of stars right now on SmackDown due to injuries and just part-time schedules. So you kind of have to make the best with what you can. Damage Control I think are doing really well in this spot. I think they're gonna do really well, and it's good. Then Dragon Lee face Axiom. This was really good. I really like this a lot. Dragon Lee did win. This was a good showcase for Axiom. They did a nice video package for him, and it was really great stuff. I hope this leads to him now being on the main roster full-time, just because I don't really think he can really do much in NXT, and I just don't think the booking's behind him, and I think he would do much better on SmackDown. So, that was good stuff. They did definitely tease that Dragon Lee is going to feud with Santos because he mentions that he wants to avenge Rey Mysterio. So I think that would be good. But I would rather see Dragon Lee challenge for the U.S. title. But they could do both. They could have Dragon Lee, challenge for the U.S. title, and maybe Santos cost him the title. So that would be interesting. And then they just had Santos finally break his silence. And he basically turned on Rey Mysterio for the reasons that I predicted. He basically says that the whole reason he turned on him was because Rey, consistently let him down. He always took the spotlight. He mentions, how he stole his U.S. title match. How he brought an outsider into the LWO, and when it came time to side with him or Santos, he sided with the outsider. He does this really great promo because Rey did have surgery recently. He's been working with a torn meniscus for a while. He had to have surgery. He's going to be out for like 3 months. Maybe that he was working with it for 3 months, actually. I think it's what it was. I don't know how long he'll actually be out for. I could see him, depending on the recovery, he'll definitely be back by Mania. But You know, Santos is just ripping it away pretty much, which is great. During this, you saw members of the LWO backstage, and Zelina confronts him first, and she slaps him and just leaves. And then it's Wall, Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde's turn to come out, and they're yelling at him. And Santos, basically says that he made them and everything like that. And he basically tells them to leave. He parts ways with them, and he attacks them from behind. And before he can do any further damage, Carlito runs out and sends Santos packing. And we find out later in the night that it's going to be Carlito versus Santos at Survivor Series, which I think will be awesome. So I loved everything they did with Santos. I definitely want to see him and Dom have a segment together at Survivor Series, because he did call Dom here, which I think would be great. But yeah. I don't know what's going to happen now, though, with Santos, because I was thinking that Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza would side with him, which could still happen. But now I don't really know how much sense it makes, since they did this segment here. What they could do is they could call back up Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo, and that can be like the new Legado del Fantasma, and they can go up against Carlito, Raul Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde. That would be something I would like to see, because it was reported anyway that they were going to join LWO, and I think that would be the best thing, honestly. And honestly, I think that would really work really well. So I hope they do that. But overall, I liked everything they did with Santos. So this is good stuff. And yeah, I hope they build him up as like a ultimate bad guy to go up, full way to go up against. I think that match can totally happen at WrestleMania. Which I think would be awesome. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. And then Grayson Waller faced Cameron Grimes. He beat him. Afterwards, we find out that Kevin Owens is going to be back from his suspension, and he's going to be on the Grayson Waller show next week. So that'll be interesting. And then, I think the last thing that really happens is Paul Heyman does a great promo with Solo Sikoa, where he really hypes him up as the guy that took out John Cena, mentions that, he's never going to wrestle again, all the typical stuff that happens when someone gets written off. And LA Knight comes out and talks about how he's going to take down the Bloodline, so that way it's just him and Roman that face off when he challenges for the title again. And he faces Jimmy Uso. He beats Jimmy Uso pretty definitively, and then afterwards Solo attacks him, lays him out with the spike, and they get ready to put him through the table, but Cody Rhodes runs out and attacks him, and he helps fend off the Bloodline, and that was basically it. He stands tall with LA Knight, and later in the night, Nick Aldis basically just tells him to leave. He reprimands him, so it's kind of cool they ended up working together again, obviously, because obviously everyone talked about how there was heat between them for how everything went down at All In and everything like that, and the fact that, Nick Aldis was supposed to go to AEW to defend the NWA World title against Cody. So, kind of interesting how they were kind of back together here. But yeah, that was SmackDown. I really liked SmackDown. The only thing I really didn't like, obviously, was maybe that Cody was there, just because, they're not really sticking to the brand split. The only thing I forgot, too, was the triple threat tag match they did for the show, for the number one contendership, between the Street Profits, the Brawling Brutes, and Pretty Deadly. That was awesome. The Street Profits won with the retaliation on Ridge Holland, and this was after Pete Dunne inadvertently bro kicked him, and Ridge Holland kind of walked off disappointed, so they might split up the Brawling Brutes, which I don't think would be a bad thing. I think, this could lead to Pete Dunne going back to that name. So if that's what we get out of it, I'll be okay with it. And then, during the match, B-Fab came up. But, next week on SmackDown, which is going to be on FS1, is going to be the Judgment Day defending the tag titles against the Street Profits. And we're going to have... what else is on the tap for SmackDown next week? Oh, the Grayson Waller effect with Kevin Owens. I assume we'll find out more. I assume we're going to have an advantage match with one member from the women's team facing the other member for the women's team at So where the winner will get the advantage at Survivor Series. So, we're gonna have some stuff there. But yeah, that was SmackDown. I really liked SmackDown. I'm gonna give it like an A minus. I mean, the only thing that really annoyed me, obviously, was Cody being on SmackDown because brand split. But at least they, get reprimanded now, so that's good. And obviously, I'm still not into Jimmy Uso as a heel, so that just sucks. But yeah, that was SmackDown. Going through my quick predictions for next week's content when it comes to Raw and things like that. Raw's got some stuff announced for it. We're gonna have Raquel Rodriguez versus Nia Jax. I'm really hoping they give Raquel the win here, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But I'm gonna still pick Raquel. And then we're gonna have Xia Li versus Becky Lynch. They could book this two ways. They could have Damage Control interfere and help Xia win, or they could have Lyra in the crowd and it distracts Xia long enough for Becky to win. They could do either or. The one I would do probably is maybe it's really tough. Yeah, I don't know what to pick. Maybe I just have Becky win because she's going into the Wargames match. But maybe they could have Becky win, cheaply type of thing. But yeah, that's really a tough one to call. But I'll just say Becky wins because she does kind of need to win anyways. So I think that would help. And then obviously we're going to have a Wargames advantage match. The member of the teams I think that could go up against each other is I think it's going to be Sammy versus Damian Priest. Just because I think that would make the most sense. Because I think Judgment Day will win. And I don't think Cody's going to be the one that takes a loss. I don't think Seth will take a loss. And Jay has taken kind of too many pins lately. They could have him still get pinned, and he just loses cheaply. But I think, I think Damian, beating Sammy is probably the most likely outcome. So, and it makes sense obviously for the Judgment Day to have the man advantage, and obviously I expect it to be Seth will start and Damian will come in last, which kind of would help his cash in and everything like that. And we're supposed to hear from Drew. I kind of can't wait to hear what he says. I think he actually is going to get added to the Wargames match, and they're going to do 5-on-5 for the men. With Cody's team having a mystery partner at Survivor Series, so I think that's going to happen. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Raw. I think it's going to be good stuff. And then for SmackDown, I think the Judgment Day are going to beat the Street Profits to retain the tag titles. I think it just makes the most sense. And then as for the Grayson Waller effect, I imagine Owens is just going to come out and lay him out. And then I think a match will get set up. Maybe not Survivor Series, but for the following SmackDown, where it will be Kevin Owens versus Grayson Waller. But they could do something where he lays out Theory, and then Waller sneaks in and lays him out. So they could do something like that. And then, obviously I expect an advantage match to take place, maybe with they'll do a tag match, maybe, and I expect the heels will get the advantage there. But, they did last year, do where the faces had the advantage over the bloodline. So, it could happen again this year. So, but I think, both cases, the heels should get the advantage in both Wargames matches. I don't really see the reason for the baby faces to get the advantage in either match this year. And then, that's pretty much the end of the predictions part. So let's kind of go through the new stuff. Gonna see if I can find my stuff, because we have a big week for WWE. Jey Uso recently went on his Instagram and he did a post because he had his first ever solo sign-in, and I'm getting all this from Nerd Sheet Radio, I'll just say that now. he mentioned, yeah, he said that he showed gratefulness for his first signing alone today, saying he was nervous no one would show up. He said, to everyone who came to see me, my first signing alone, I was nervous. No one would be there, but you guys showed up for me. I'm humbled and thankful for everyone's support and love. I literally was speechless. Love you guys. I mean that. Yeet. So that's good, shows that him as a main event going singles is really working out for him, which I'm happy about. And he's someone that they can rely on to be a top star for WWE now. So that's really good, and I'm glad he's appreciative of it also. So that's good stuff. And then more Will Ospreay news. Dave Meltzer recently talked about how he doesn't think that WWE can offer Will Ospreay what AEW can offer him. A stadium show in London and Wembley, because All In's going to be there, and obviously a world title run. Tough to say whether or not that's true or not. I think WWE wouldn't necessarily lose him like crap. I think, WWE, if they're going to put in Will Ospreay, they're definitely going to utilize him well. Will he be a world champion or main event like WrestleMania or something? I wouldn't necessarily say it's not going to happen, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's in the cards at the moment. But it's still obviously interesting. Obviously there's reports that 3 companies right now are really interested in him, obviously being WWE, AEW, and Impact / TNA. And I mentioned, I'm not going to go into it anymore, but Steve Coakley and I talked about last week how all those options are there. So, this one's kind of news I didn't want to talk about. Becky Lynch was on Celebrity Jeopardy recently. Obviously, I think they themed it around the fact that everybody had written a book and all that type of stuff, and Becky has a book coming out in March, and Becky didn't do very well in Jeopardy. She scored in the negatives, and I think they said she didn't get one answer right and all that type of stuff. I tried watching it, but I just really couldn't bring myself to do it. I really felt bad for Becky. Everyone's kind of giving a shit for it, but it's just kind of what it is. I'm really not that offended by it. I don't think I would have done very well, and I think everyone that is needs to kind of calm down a little bit. But whatever. I mean, it happens. And I don't know. And then some news about WWE. They're really glowing global next year. You have Elimination Chamber that's going to take place in Australia. You have Bash in Berlin that's going to happen in August, taking place in Germany. And now we have another show that's going global. Backlash is going to be taking place in France next year. Before that, obviously, will be SmackDown in France. I imagine that SmackDown will be taped, but I think, Backlash being in France is pretty awesome. There were reports that this was going to happen, and I'm really happy that this is happening. This is like one of, I think, the biggest positives of Triple H / Paul Levesque taking over WWE pretty much, is that WWE is going global now pretty much, which I think is awesome. I think this is cool. Looking forward to seeing what happens. It's awesome. So, great. And then, obviously a big thing is, I wanted to mention this because this could lead WWE news. Mickie James is no longer listed as an active competitor to the Impact Wrestling website locker room or website roster. According to Impact sources, the relationship between the two remains fine, but James has taken what was described as a break from the company. So, I don't know if it just is a break. This could just be speculated. She could be coming back to WWE. Obviously, this is more likely now because, obviously she could finish out her career on a high note in WWE, and now her husband Nick Aldis is there, so she could do stuff on SmackDown. I think SmackDown does need women for the women's division because it's really not very loaded right now. That Battle Royal on Raw really exposed how weak SmackDown's women's division is at the moment. So I think, she could go to SmackDown and have one final one, maybe challenge for the title one last time, and face all these people. There's loads of people she could face. I don't think we've ever seen her versus Charlotte. We've never seen her versus Bianca. I think everybody else we've seen. Maybe Bayley. I don't think we've seen her versus Bayley. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with Nikki. I really want to see it happen. Then we have more news. Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge, did an interview recently where he talked about, what it was kind of like being a part-timer in WWE, and this is what he had to say. I see WWE's perspective entirely. If we bring you out too much, then it's not special anymore. I get that, I really do. So WWE offer was for limited dates. With that, though, you can't really get into a proper story. You can't really dive into what this could be. For me, looking at it, it's like I'm 49 now. I'm got a very, very limited time to capitalize on what I have left. I'm going to do this, man. I really want to do it. Which is fair, if he feels like he can still provide on a full-time basis. Maybe WWE wasn't the company. But the only problem with that is, he says this, and he hasn't had very many matches in AEW since he's been there. I mean, he's only had 2, and he's been there like a month. So it's really weird. I guess, he's also been there most weeks, but I imagine once the Classic Continental happens, he's going to be in it, and we'll see loads of dream matches for Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, if he feels like he still wants to contribute. I don't know what this is going to mean for, Edge. Is AEW going to be where he ends his career? Is he going to stay there for a couple years, come back, and have one last run in WWE? It'll be interesting. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. And then, I want to save that for the end. And then, there's still reports about Julia. WON is reporting Julia has a serious offer from WWE. Stardom and Rousey Ogara are aware of it. Julia was close to Rousey and has verbally agreed to remain in Stardom until at least next year. So, we could see Julia make her way to WWE. Again, I can't comment about her work. I still got to sit down and watch her matches, but we'll see if that happens. And then the last thing is, this is actually pretty big news. WWE is interested in signing Okada. This is from WON also. There was talk of late of renewed interest from WWE with regards to signing Kazuchika Okada. The pitch is that he's now 36 and he's close with Nakamura, and Nakamura has worked years in WWE and is far easier on his body. The idea is that WWE is the one thing Okada has never done, and he's done everything he can do in New Japan. One person who buzzed us about the renewed interest in Okada said that one of the reasons Nakamura is getting a renewed push is to show Okada that this regime is not going to treat Japanese like the stereotypical children, because Vince does that with people who don't speak fluent English, but this is a new regime. So, I'm excited about this. Obviously, this could be huge for WWE, and it would actually shake up the wrestling landscape, because Okada's been the face of New Japan Pro Wrestling for years, and it would obviously, they'd have to find a new face for New Japan, which I think they could do. It will hurt New Japan big time if Okada leaves, and I don't think it would be a sign-in that I don't think anybody would expect, and I think, it could be awesome. So we'll have to wait and see. I hope he can make the jump, but wherever Okada goes, I'll be happy with. If he stays in New Japan, okay. I wouldn't be overly thrilled because he's done everything he can do in New Japan. AEW would be a good place for him, and WWE would be a great place for him. Be interested to see where Okada goes. And that's pretty much it for WWE Aftershock. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. And if you want to check out other stuff on this channel, you're more than welcome to do so. I don't want to plug anything because we're at the holiday time and I really can't do a whole lot. You'll definitely get a WWE Aftershock next week, I'm hoping. But other than that, that's all I can really plug. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And since it's been recorded in the past, I will talk to you guys in the future.
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as WWE content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.